Very good morning, guys. My name is Shivraj, and I have started a new series in my YouTube channel that is named as Gen Z JavaScript. So, in this series, we will be learning React.js, Angular, and JavaScript. All the important concepts we will be learning here. And I am a full stack developer with having 10 plus year of experience under my belt. And guys, please subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified for all the upcoming videos. Thank you.
Guys, if you have seen my previous video where I've covered part 1 of React testing library with Jest in with our React.js, and in this we are going more deeper. This is part 2. So as I promised that I will be coming up with a new video where we will be diving more deeper. So here what we will be covering, let me show you. So here we will be covering how to mock API, wait for findBy, how to use user event, and how we can test props in our React. So if the props are passed, so props, are we getting the props properly? All that can be tested, and the snapshot test. So these are 5 things we will be covering in this video. So if you don't know the basics, you can please visit my previous video, and there I've started basics for React testing library using Jest in our React.js. So right now here we have a API call that is happening. So an API call that is happening which is fetching up data from a public API. So this is our React small React functional component. We user list.js. We are importing React use effect, use state are the hooks that is given to us from React. So use effect is basically for all the side effects for all the API and whatever we are calling from the outside. For all those things we cover inside use effect, and use state is for creating a state for our component, and it gives us in return, it gives us an array that consists of a state and our state updater function. So in line number 13 and line number 14, we have created use state. With the help of use state, we have created state and a state updater function. Users in line number 13 is a state, and you set users as a state updater function. In line number 14, loading is a state and set loading is a state updater function. It will help us to update this loading whenever we want. And what will happen whenever we update from this, our UI renders. So this is the benefit. So that's why we are able to see the latest value. Uh, and this is how our functional component we have created line number 12. So default functional component, why export default? With the help of export default, we can import this component anywhere and we can render it simply. So that's why we are writing export default. And in line number 16, here we have make use of use effect. Always remember, use effect is a hook where we do all this async API, all the side effects we can handle over here. And use effect is always called once when your component is loaded, and this will only be called once. Why? Because we always have a dependency in this use effect. There is a dependency array that is seen in line number 24. This is empty, so it means that it will only be rendered once when your React component is loaded, and then it will not be called again. Why? Because in dependency we don't have anything. If we would have some state or some variables over here, so whenever that state changes, whenever that dependency here that we have chat changes, then it will again re-render this, only this use effect. So that is why we have this array here. We can provide all those things if we want to execute this function what we have inside use but again and again. So we can provide the dependencies. So if this dependency changes, then this should be called again. So this is the reason. So inside this use effect, now we are calling an async function. I've told you, whenever we are writing async, that means this function will provide us the promises, right? So here we have async function fetch users, and this fetching the API. And whenever we have promises, we know if the function is async, we can also use await inside it, right? Await means it will hold it, it will stop there itself. In line 18, it will stop. It will not be executed further until unless it receives a promise from this. So as soon as this const res receives a response from this as a promise, then it will move forward in this line. Same way, same here, until unless it response.json, it gets a response this data. So we are converting this promises this response into JSON format, right? So that's why we write await response JSON. So when data we get the response, then only we will move forward with 20 and 21. So this is the benefit of await. Like our function stops here, but it does not stops the whole UI. The UI is not blocked. Outside it will run, but only this function will get blocked, right? So this we all know if you are seeing all my previous videos. So here what we have this React component where we have two hooks, two states, users and loading, and then we are calling an API, and then we are using these two states. The first one is stated users, right? So what we are doing, we are updating these users from the response that we are receiving in the API. And second one is loading. So we are making the loading false. So initially you will see it is true and this is empty array. So empty array will be filled up with this response, and this true, loading true will be set to false as soon as we get the API response. So initially when we load the page, it will show you loader, okay? And then this would uh, loader would go away. Why? Because you receive the API response, so you are setting it to false, right? And then you have called this fetch users. And if loading, return loading. See, if in loading you have true value, you will be seeing this loading dot dot dot. As soon as the response you get from the API, it will set to loading false, because this is a state level variable, state level. So component will again re-render, and at that time loading will go away. Instead you will see this list. What it is returning? It's returning a users, the data that is we received from this API, and then we are mapping over it. Why we are mapping? Because this is an array type and we map over it to get each element out of it, and we are showing it as a list. Li is for showing it as a list. And in React, always remember, we have to always pass this key attribute also. Why? Because we need a unique key, right? So user.name is inside user object, we have user.name. So that is how you can access name, and then you are showing it as a list. So now we need to test this. So how we can test this is different. Why this is different? Because here you have to test async UI, right? So async UI means this will render after your component. So this fetch function will bring the response till then you have component is rendered, right? So that's why we need some different way. So what is the different way? So how to test async UI? If you go through all these nodes after this explanation, you will find it very easy to understand it. So also please do comments if you are stuck anywhere or anything, if I missed anything, right? So this is how we will test it. So we are importing render screen await for this we know we are getting from this library, testing library that we have, React testing library. And then we have user list. So this user list is this component that we have, functional component. This is user list, right? This user list, line number 7. And then inside it we are first of all we're making mocking the API. So we are mocking the API to get a fake resolve, to get a fake response. So how we can mock it? So this fetch API, how we can mock it? So we can just write global.fetch and this will refer to this. And how we can mock it is just.function. So like this just.function, and in this arrow function we can write whatever we want to return. So promise.resolve this JSON, and this JSON we will get, right, for our testing purpose. So it will not actually call this API, it will not hit the internet, but it is mocking it so that we can get the response. So how we can test it? You can start with the test block. So this format we know. You can see in my previous video, because our motive in this video is to understand async, not these all syntax. Otherwise, this video will go more longer, right? So this test, simply here we can write anything that we want, like what we are doing here. So we are fetches and display widget. We are fetching the data and displaying. So this test we are doing here. So async, right? Because this is a async type of request. And then first of all we are rendering. So we have rendered our component. So as soon as our component rendered, we know the fetch API will be, the first UI will be rendered, then fetch API will be called, then again it will re-render with the list. So initially what it will show, so initially the loading is true, right? So it will show loading dot dot. So that we are checking expect screen dot get by text loading in the document. So we are expecting this in the document loading. So this will be there, and then we are waiting for the user to appear in the DOM. So how we can write await, right? Await, because this is async function, we can write await, right? And then wait for and then we have to this expect, right? What we are expecting, we are expecting this name and this name, and we are await. Why we are waiting until unless we receive this? So this function will wait here. So because this is async type, we are testing the fetch API, right? So as soon as we receive this, then it will be go further. And because we have received this, then we know our this JSON function that we have mocked the API that has been called one time, right? So then we are checking that expect global.fetch to have been called how many times? This is one. We have provided one. If you want to test for two, you can write two, three, four like this, or zero, anything, any number you can provide here. So this is how we are testing our API. So next, here line by line you can understand. This is for your understanding, and then we can go ahead with this one, uh, props. So how to test props, right? So here we can see we have a small greeting.js functional component where we are importing render screen, greeting, and then we are testing it. So before testing it, we can see our React component. So this is our React component where we have a function greeting and it is expecting name as a prop, and then it is returning h1 element where hello and name, whatever that name is, right? So how we will test it? Similar render screen coming from testing library, and then how we will test it inside test block, we will write what we are testing it. So we are testing the rendering of greeting with the name. So we are calling render just to call this component to display this component virtually, not in actual in virtual DOM. And this greeting name Alice, we are passing the name as Alice, right? So when we pass Alice, it means screen dot get by text hello Alice. Why hello? Hello is already there, and name we have passed here, right? Alice. So it should be hello Alice. So we are now testing expect screen dot get by text hello Alice to be in the document. So this is how we are testing props. And when we want to test the events, so here it is recommended to use user event instead of fire events. So this is a simple React.js component where we have input box. So on input box change, on change of it, we are calling this updater function set value, right? So this is a use state. Here we have value as a state and set value as a state updater function. So inside this input box, we have placeholder value on change. This value is whatever we type. This on change is whenever we are typing something, it gets triggered. So on change of any character, it will trigger, and on whenever it will trigger, it will set this value e dot target dot value. This is how we are referring to this value. And on set value, whatever we are typing, we are setting it over here. Set value, we're setting this value, right? So this value, it is reference to this value. And then as soon as it will set, it will this is a state level, so it will re-render, and after re-render you can see it here. So it will be typed colon value. So this is what we will be testing it. So below we have render screen from test library, user event from this again test library, and the search box is this component name is search box. Okay. And then we have the search box test.js. This is how we have the how we name our test file. We just write the component name and test.js, right? Import render, import user event from a React testing library, and then search box is our component. And then how we'll test it, we first of all we render the component. As soon as the component renders, we'll get the input box. In input box, we will search it with, we can refer it by placeholder because we have provided here placeholder, right? Search, see. So we can get this input, we can refer to this input element with the help of this get by placeholder. Inside placeholder we have search. So we know we can refer this with ID, with text, get by label, anything. So here we are referring it by placeholder. This we have seen in the first video, right? So here we are referring it with the help of get by placeholder search. So this input now contains the element, and that element now we are using user event. So it will await user event. We know inside async we can write await, right? And what await do we know? It will wait till it is received the value. So user event dot type. So we have input. So in input we are passing the React. So this means in input box user is typing React. So as soon as it will type React, then in our screen we have this, right? Type React. It will show like this. So get by text type React in the to be in the document. And lastly, we can do snapshot testing. Snapshot testing is very simple. Snapshot testing is how your UI is at that point of time. It captures it, and then again when you render it again, you do some change. React will give you warning whenever you will run your test case, so it will automatically update this snapshot, right? You will see many times the snapshot getting failed if you make any changes. So it is a very simple how you can do it. Test, you can write that you are matching snapshot, okay, and then as fragment, inside this fragment you have this component render counter, and then you are expecting as fragment to match this snapshot. So very simple for snapshot testing. So you can go through these notes. And guys, so I have started Gen Z series. In this Gen Z series, I am covering all this React.js, React testing library. Later, I will bring videos on Angular also, because I have very good experience on Angular 2 and Jasmine Karma, the testing frameworks that we use in Angular library that we use with Angular, our Angular framework. So Angular is a framework you should know, and React is a library, and these are both framework and library for JavaScript. So in Angular we use TypeScript, which is a superset of JavaScript, right? And also I will come up with the concept of JavaScript. So main thing is we know JavaScript very well. That's why we can that is where we can master Angular and React.js, right? So please do subscribe, and so that you will get notified with the upcoming videos. I will try my best to make good videos, and so that we can improve our skills. So that's it, guys. Keep giving love to my videos, and let me know if you want any other videos in comments, and which topic you want to, you want to understand. Let me know. I will prepare well, and I will bring up that video. Thank you, guys.